There's some Revelator songs that I'm like, man, we got to bring those back. But we've done so many songs and albums. There's like so much to choose from that I guess we don't think about it all the time.
You need to get you a really good slide player in Nashville, and you guys need to cover a Derek Trucks song.
You know, he told me Susan wrote the song, which he was proud of. He said that with great pride, you know, the way you say nice things about your family.
From the first note with Tedeschi Trucks, they just blow you away.
Yes, we will. I wouldn't argue with anyone that says that could be my favorite song on I Am the Moon.
He, signs my ticket, and I look over at Susan. I say, Susan, would you sign it too? And she goes, oh, heck yeah.
Kevin calls me and was like, hey, man, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. He was like, Derek wants to record some tuba stuff. I said, when do you want to do it? And he was like, let's do it Wednesday.
It was Midnight Harlem. And it caught our attention, man. And we started diving deep, and we're like, okay, we got to see these guys.
What's up? Welcome to the unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode number 161, and I am Adam Choit. To follow this show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, and on YouTube, just search Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. If you're watching, you are already there, so please be sure to subscribe, give the show likes, shares, comments. All that stuff's definitely appreciated. I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me. Definitely subscribe to to this show on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, of course. That is appreciated too. TedeschiTrucksPodcast.com for everything related to the show. AdamChoit.com for any all of my other personal stuff and things I'm working on. But today we have New York City-based guitarist and harmonica player, originally from Carpi, Italy, Noé Socha. As a kid, after falling in love with blues music and Bob Dylan, Noé made his way to the U.S. and studied at Berklee College of Music, just like Susan. A recording artist who shared studios and stages with all sorts of notable artists. He's recently released Simplebluesboy, which is a beautiful album of instrumental blues, jazz, Americana, funk, and roots music. We talk Noé's musical journey, Italy, Berklee, New York City, and of course, Derek and Susan and TTB as well. But let's just get started. Here's Noé Socha. Okay, so it's good to see you today, Noé Socha. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, for sure. How are you holding up during whatever year this is?
2024?
I think so.
Yeah, sounds like it. Summer. It's currently 90-something degrees in New York, so it's hot, but got AC, so can't complain.
Nice. So you're in New York City, and where in the city are you? Because I'm from Long Island originally, so I know New York pretty well.
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn, so
nice.
Where all the cool things are happening.
Yeah, you're one of the cool things for sure. How long have you been in New York? We'll work backwards, but how long have you been in New York for? Living in New York?
I moved to New York in 2015, so it's been 9 years now.
Nice. You're a regular New Yorker. You're an American. You got the whole. You're one of us now.
Yeah, even though I'm originally from Italy, but yeah, it's
right. I want to get into that. So you were born in Carpi. How do you say that?
Carpi. Yeah.
Carpi. I took a Spanish a little bit in my younger days, so Italian was not my strength.
Close enough.
So tell me a little bit about your background and family and did you have siblings and what kind of music did you hear like real early on? Like what are your earliest like music memories and family memories? And I want to hear about Carpi a little bit.
Yeah.
Carpi.
Well, actually it's kind of crazy because I'm blind and I actually came to the US really early on when I was like a month to get some eye surgery and all that kind of stuff. So that's, I can see just a little bit, not enough to see you, but, that was a bit of a back and forth. But, then I grew up in Italy and went to school there and started doing the music thing over there. It's like, having a perfect pitch. I didn't really know what it was as a kid, but I definitely know that my parents figured it out eventually, even though they weren't really musicians. but I would like sit at the keyboard and play the same note all day. Or I had musical boxes, like the tiny little ones that you twist the little knob, and I could tell you if you slammed it on the table, I could tell you which one it was, things like that. Or water bottles, if it fell on the ground, the plastic ones, I could tell you, oh, it's this brand or that brand. There wasn't that many back then. In the early 90s or mid 90s, it was only 2 or 3 that were mainstream ones. So, little weird things like that. But I didn't really start playing guitar until I was 12. There was one around the house, but, I played a little piano first, a little cello, just kind of tried to find my way to stuff. And then, one of my teachers in 5th grade showed me Bob Dylan, and that's something about him. I didn't really understand English at the time, but something about his playing and his delivery I liked it. And so I started playing guitar and harmonica. And I took lessons, eventually the classical, jazz, all that stuff. So now I play a lot of different things. But that's how it all started.
So
and
I was gonna ask. So 5th grade, that's when you said you started getting into Bob Dylan and playing music. It was around that age.
I mean, I was into music before that, but I was just kind of messing around. I wasn't really serious about it. That was kind of my, like, I knew I enjoyed it, but I didn't really. When you're in Italy or whatever, a lot of times you start with classical music, and I enjoy it, but I didn't really feel like I wanted to sit there and practice a million things. Like I like to play music, and I like to practice for that function. I don't really have a practice routine or all that kind of stuff. It's still to this day. Like I've always kind of been the sort of player that just plays. And I always, if I'm learning something, then I practice it, of course. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be, practicing, because practicing is important, but I do think that I like to have a goal in mind or something specific I'm working towards, and then just incorporate that into my playing, rather than that works for me, rather than sit there like doing warm-up exercises or spending 2 or 3 hours doing scales. I don't know. It's boring to me.
I get that. That makes sense.
With that said, I'm not saying that these people are doing it wrong. I'm not one of those that believes that, because I feel like everybody's got a way of doing things, and you just do what's best for you. A lot of great players need it to sound better, and that's great. I'm just not that type of player. I'm more of a sort of, I like to play music, songs, and learn stuff because of that.
I got you. What I mean, it sounds like, and people have heard, I haven't done the ChatGPT dive on this, but like your other senses get strengthened because of the lack of sight.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think
you don't smell great. You can't smell a sense of smell.
I think it's. I mean, I don't know what it is to be in other people's shoes, but
right.
I think it's more about paying attention to things. I think that people that tell you that they have a super or whatever, I think some people like to talk big talk, because that's just, that. I mean, it creates the story. It's cool, but I want to keep it real. I don't know. I don't know. But I don't think, I mean, having perfect pitch, but there is plenty of sighted people that have perfect pitch. So it's not just a blind thing. Yes, there are a lot of blind people who have it, but, there's also sighted people who have it. So I don't know.
Yeah, not every blind person becomes a talented musician.
Right, exactly.
Even if their sense of hearing is strengthened, like, you have to still want to develop that talent and have some of that talent.
But it's not, you just pay more attention to things, and you use your abilities in different ways, because we don't use 100% of what we could do. And I'm not saying that we're a lazy way. I'm just saying that, the way the brain works and the way things work, it's just, some people pay more attention to certain things. Some people pay more attention to others. And, the visual is the most immediate. So of course that's going to be one of the main sensories, but not for everyone. There's definitely plenty of sighted people I know that have a lot of that use hearing a lot. So you never know. It's those things are. I think there are a lot of myths personally.
Interesting. What do you remember? What Dylan songs or what?
Yeah, the first one I learned was "Blowing in the Wind." That was the first song I ever learned. Yeah, then it just kind of went from there. Blues was something I got into right after that. My first teacher showed me the Blues Brother version of "Sweet Home Chicago," and then got into Albert Collins. And my dad was helping finding music on the internet. Then 20 years ago, you didn't really have streaming services, so it was about buying CDs and downloading stuff off of whatever websites he could find. So that was kind of how it all became a thing. So yeah.
What about other genres? Did you have thoughts about other genres of music?
Oh, I love everything, man. I mean, I play. If anybody follows me or stuff, you can see I try to play as many types of music as possible. I'm not just a blues player or a rock player. I play with singers. I play solo. I play jazz, country. I went to Trinidad for a while, so I played calypso a little bit. I just like to keep it interesting for myself, and I like to break down musical barriers. I think a lot of times people are like, "Oh, you're the new blah blah blah." I'm like, "Oh God, there you go." It's like, why do I have to be the new somebody? Like, these people weren't the new anybody; they were just them. So why shouldn't I just be, have my own style, learning from everyone, of course, but it just. I just think that when people try to box people because they want to try to understand what you're doing, and so it's like, oh, I got it, I know what you're doing. I think, so there's so many influences that I have and so many different types of music that I enjoy, and it's all great, if it's good music, it's good music, and that's really what I care about.
That's great. No, that's super cool. And I totally get where you're coming from with all that. And obviously I think those are values and thoughts and an approach that like Tedeschi Trucks Band takes in a lot of ways. And I feel like I can go in so many places with this conversation, but I do know what you're doing. Your approach is to not be boxed in. And I do hear that in your music and in your styles and in playing as I've been diving into it, hearing a lot of like, you get the American Delta, American rock and roll and blues, but there's a lot of worldly sounds, and I hear in your music, and like the calypso stuff and like gypsy stuff and old time jazz and like European influences. I hear it in your music, and that's super cool. And it keeps it fresh in a lot of ways and interesting listening to, like, as I dive into your music and go from track to track, like. You keep it fresh for the listener, and you're leading us, I think, with your music in a lot of ways, and that's cool and refreshing, and that's hard to do.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoy it. I feel like I want to always learn something, but also I want to give back to the community too, and it's. The blues world is an interesting place, so I'm glad to be part of it in a certain way, but also I want to be able to break down the barriers, because I feel like certain people are a little uptight. Happens in jazz too, and classical music as well. People are like, "Oh, this is the real thing," and I'm like, "What is the real thing? What are we even talking about?"
Right.
I don't know. It's weird. It's a little strange, a bit of a strange concept. And generally, these people are, I don't know, not necessarily even qualified to make certain statements.
There's always like those like traditionalists and blues and jazz, and even
now, if you enjoy a certain type of music, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with enjoying B.B. King or Lightning Hopkins over, I don't know, Stevie Ray or Eric Gales or whatever. That's personal taste, but from there to like being upset when someone does something different, or has a different approach. It's like, if the music is good, it's well done, the band is tight, there is something fresh about the music, then that's really what's important. And plus, I mean, it's this is a fun job. So, when people are like judging you and telling you, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, it's like, I don't know, do we? Like, can't we all just enjoy it? It's an art form. It's not a like finance or lawyer or something like that.
A lot of people give you advice and suggestions over the years and saying play this and play. Well, I guess that's different than. Or there's a difference between it, I guess, advice and a song suggestions. But people kind of tell you what to do over the years and think they know what's best for you.
It's generally been okay. A lot of the times I've had people give me a hard time about my right hand technique, because it's a kind of a hybrid of classical and fingerstyle, and so especially when I was growing up, people were like, "Oh, you'll never be able to play something if you keep playing with the technique you have." Now they leave me alone generally, but that's definitely been a thing. That was the main issue, if I had one. People just complaining about my right hand technique.
Guitar heads, instructors, teachers, academic environments, traditionalists, all of those types.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand that. Like, if I were to tell someone how to, to use, like, I would be like, good luck learning what I do, not because I want to say that I'm some amazing whatever. It's just such a mixture of things that sometimes contradict each other depending on what you're doing. So it's definitely something that if you're trying to be, efficient or whatever, you may not want to approach. But it worked for me. But it definitely is not something that works for everyone, the way I play. So I think it needs a specific type of personality. Somebody that is not, like, I'm not necessarily stubborn, but like I'll take the challenge and try to figure out the best way to do what needs to be done with the technique I have. We're definitely being humble about it. But if someone is, has issues, maybe being, creative with that kind of thing, or like wants a sort of standard way of learning the instrument, then I may not be the right person for you. That's what I'm saying.
This is cool. This is cool for me to hear, just as like a guitar player myself, as someone who just plays as like a hobby, just to hear, like, it's almost like my interpretation or like takeaways, like almost like, don't be so judgmental with yourself about your own playing. Just have fun with it. And if I feel like playing with a pick, play with a pick. Yeah. If I play with my fingers too, play with my fingers. Don't be so.
At the end of the day, you have to be happy with your own sound, but you also have to sound good. Like, I'm pretty self-aware, and I don't really, I'm not really loose about that. Like, if I play something, or if I record something, if I put it out into the world, I want it to be at the standard of whatever record I'm thinking of, or whatever sound I'm thinking of. Like, I want to be up to that level. I don't want to just be like, oh, this is good enough. Like, the feel has to be there, the rhythm has to be there, all that stuff. Like, I can definitely be pretty, like, demanding of myself for that. I don't beat myself up, but I definitely have a high standard as far as what I want something to sound like. Now, how I get there, that's whatever you do. If it works, it works. That's really the way I feel about it. Like, there is a way that is standard, and if that works for you, that's great. If you're doing a different way, but you end up getting somewhere around that result, then that's good. I guess that's what I'm saying as far as that is concerned.
I gotcha. We can get back more on the chronology of your timeline and whatnot. What came first, playing harmonica or slide guitar? When did that all kind of come in?
Oh, slide guitar was later. Guitar and harmonica were around the same time because of the Bob Dylan thing.
Right.
So
did you sing? Did you ever sing?
No, I didn't. I mean, as a kid, I guess, but I didn't really want to. I still don't. It's one of those things. I feel like, there is a lot of guitar players that sing that it's like, oh, you do the thing because that's what's gonna make you successful. I don't really care. Like I feel like there's so many great singers out there. I don't need to be one of them, you know. Unless it's at the same level as the guitar and the harmonica playing, which is not at that level for what I want it to be. I don't really want to do it just because. I feel like that's you know.
Interesting. No, I because I'm thinking about some other guitar players that do sing in their bands. Like Keith Richards will sing and put out solo work, and Joe Perry sings and put out solo work. But I get that, like,
yeah. But I mean, if you think of Joe Perry and Steven Tyler, who's the better singer?
Right.
So I mean, like, you know,
you don't want to have one song on your albums with you singing. You'd rather, because it doesn't match. It can't match your level of the harmonica playing.
Yeah.
And guitar playing.
I mean, I don't really. I mean, even if you think of Stevie Ray, I mean, as great of a guitar player as he is, like, he's an okay singer. But I mean,
I like his voice, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
It's all right. But I mean, if you put that against Bobby Blue Bland, B.B. King, Aubrey King,
right?
I mean, you know, what are we talking about? You know, and I'm not saying that he shouldn't. I'm just saying that's why I don't. You know, like I don't. I want to sound a specific way, and I don't. So I'm like, no, I'd rather have someone that actually sings.
Right.
Rather than like that. I don't believe that. I mean, Derek Truck doesn't sing on his.
No.
Right. So I mean, but he sings with his guitar. He has such a melodic approach, and it's like, I mean, I'm sure people are giving him shit about it. I'm positive because there was a point where he wasn't as regarded as he is now, and like, I mean, considering all the stuff I'm getting, and I play 2 instruments, and I still get crap about it. I'm sure he got a lot of it, so you know
it's come up.
Oh,
yeah.
I have no doubt. I mean, I don't know him personally. Well, no, I met him once, but like I am sure, 100% sure that when he was a kid, people were like, "Oh, aren't you singing?" I'm like, why do I need to? There's so many musicians that are jazz musicians that don't sing, and nobody's going up to them. They're like, "Oh, you should sing." Why should I?
That's a great point that you make about saying that you make the guitar sing and thinking about
harmonica, you know.
Yeah, or harmonica, especially harmonica. Listening to your playing like that, that's what you're doing a lot of the time. The vocal lines with especially and slide guitar too, of course, could achieve the vocal quality, and Derek achieves that as well, of course. But even other guitar players that don't sing, don't sing and don't play a ton of slide, like Slash is another one. Like I really like his style and makes
it
it
get
sing.
more into the jazz world. Oz Noy, who I've worked with a few times, you know, he's out here and he doesn't sing. He just plays fusion jazz music, and they don't even have a singer on the gig. It's all instrumental music, unless he's working with someone else and collaborating. But I mean, he's known. Or Mike Stern, all these jazz guys, Bill Frisell. I mean, you know, they're not expected to sing. It's just the blues world, and people are so uptight about the way things should be. And that's what I was talking about earlier, you know? It's like, you know.
Yeah, everybody wants to, everyone's got ideas for everyone else. What, tell me about, I guess, your teens, high school age, and where were you musically, and where were we kind of headed?
You know, I was in Italy. I started playing, and, you know, through my teacher, I started learning some jazz, and then I went to the Umbria Jazz Seminar, which was hosted by the Berklee College of Music in Boston. They host a seminar every year in Italy, and so over there I got a scholarship for the Berklee summer program, and then at the summer program I got a scholarship for the full-time Berklee College. So I did that. So that's kind of how that was. You know, in high school I was playing a little bit in local bands and some bands back, you know, blues bands back home, things like that. That was kind of what I was up to. I guess it was cool, but a little interesting too, because I realized that the smaller the town, the more people seem to be attached to the little that they have, musically speaking, for what I've seen. And I had a hard time getting work and things like that, or even being called for gigs because, I was too young or whatever. And not every place is like New York or the US in general, where I feel like, if you're good at something and people see potential, they'll call you no matter how old you are. That doesn't happen in Italy for sure.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, we definitely appreciate talent in this country. Like, even just think about like basketball, like looking at like high school basketball players are like celebrities in this country.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think that's good sometimes because it's just hard for someone to handle stardom so young, and it's there's so much pressure that's put on you. But I mean, if you have the right head on your shoulders and you do the right steps, then there's, I'm making a living doing music now. So, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do that back in Italy for sure. And, there's not that many opportunities. Plus you need a car. It's, it's tough. That's why I moved to New York, because I mean, I literally can go to all my gigs with the train, or even if I take an Uber, like it's my choice and I can do whatever I need to do. Or there are services too that will take you from place to place, and it's
a good setup for you. When did you notice that you were starting to get more and more attention? Was it in your teens? Was it younger? Was it in high school? And were people
I don't know. I mean, what does that even mean?
Yeah, it's all it's all relative, I guess. Like Paul McCartney gets a lot of attention, but someone who
but I'm not even at that level, like
no,
I'm just like, I still make $100 a night playing gigs, like I'm not there. I got a few little glimpses of things. I think people know who I am to a certain extent, but I'm not like, I don't know. I think there's a difference between being. I'm somewhere in the middle. Let's put it that way. So like, there's the people that don't have any sort of recognition. I have somewhat of it, but hasn't really come to the, level of like, somebody like Derek or whatever, which is fine. I mean, I'm not upset about it. I'm just saying that it hasn't really been something that I cared about, or like, oh, I was starting to be this and that. It's like, yeah, people knew that I could play, and that, in school and whatever, I guess people were aware, but it's not that I don't know. I don't feel like it changed anything for me.
Right, but people must come up to you after shows and offer kind words and compliments.
Oh, definitely. That
must be every show, I would think.
Yeah, no, that's definitely been great, and that definitely still happens, because I always give my best when I perform, and I always want to leave feeling like I did something useful for whoever was there, make them feel good. I always give my everything. When I perform, I don't hold back. I always try to be creative. I always try to connect with the audience that's listening to me, in a personal way. I enjoy doing that. I've always been that way. Even when I was at the 5-week summer program in 2009, I did this little competition with, other Berklee guitarists, and I got the opportunity to play at the Berklee Performance Center, opening up this guitar showcase show thing that they were doing for the end of the program. And it was, thousands of students and parents and whatever, and it was fun. It was nice to be able to connect with them. And I like to, sometimes in situations like that, I like to go up there, quote unquote, unprepared. And with that, I mean, like, I have some sort of idea of what I'm going to do, but I want to be able to feel the audience and kind of change it up as I go, because that creates a more personal experience to whoever is listening to me at that moment. So usually when I play for bigger audiences like that, I do that even more than if I play for smaller ones, because you can connect in a cool way. So I definitely did that back then, and still do.
That's cool, and that's something Tedeschi Trucks Band does too. It's called audibles based on the vibe and the crowd and the band and whatever's.
Yeah. I saw them play a couple of years ago at the Beacon, and it was really great.
Was I probably was there. Maybe I was there then. I've been to over a dozen probably Beacon shows at this point over the years.
It was in 2020. Was it 22 or 23? It was 22, like the fall.
Yeah.
My I don't know if you know Junior Mac.
Yeah, I saw him play too.
Yeah, he didn't play that night, but we went together to see them, and he's close to Derek, so he's been kind of. I mean, he tried to introduce him to me that one time, but it didn't work out. It was funny. Like I laughed, and then they, but I didn't meet Derek another time. He was sitting in with Eric Krasno and that project when John Schofield when they played Blue Note. And my friend Eric Finland was playing keys with Krasno, and then Derek Trucks set in. So I remember I shook his hand that one time with like a 5-second interaction, but it was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I saw you. I think you played with Eric Krasno. Did I imagine that? Did I?
No, I never played with Krasno. I never played with Krasno. I've met him. I know him, but I never played with him.
Gotcha. Because I've seen both of you at somewhat recently this year at was the Mint in LA.
Yeah, I mean that's where you saw me with Kelly. But
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that was super cool. When did you discover Derek Trucks or Tedeschi Trucks Band? When?
I think when I moved to the U.S., I had a friend that was really into. I don't think that they were 2009. I don't think that they were an item yet. Or maybe they were, but it was just starting out. Like I knew their music separately because
the band was starting to form around then. They weren't. I don't know. They weren't called Tedeschi Trucks Band, I think, until 2010. But they did like Soul Stew.
Yeah, but I mean, my friend is from Boston, and so she knew of Susan, of her music. So I heard her and then heard his stuff, right around then, and then it's been off and on. Just being exposed to it in some way or another, and I've definitely seen the evolution of their music. I mean, I enjoy his instrumental music from before it too, because I feel like that was, he was going wherever he wanted to, and with this thing it's a little different. It's not that he doesn't do that, but it's when you have a singer, you work differently, you do different kinds of things, and I think that they both benefited from each other in a certain way.
Right. That though some of the world style maybe takes a little bit of a backseat, and some of the instrumental stuff takes a little bit of the backseat in Tedeschi Trucks Band, but those elements are definitely still part of the band and part of every single show, every night they play.
And the fact that they write really cool music together, I think it's good. I enjoy it.
Susan's Berklee alum also.
Yeah,
got that Boston connection, the New England.
Yeah, I saw that they released a signature Telecaster recently too.
That's what, yeah. I want to go. Maybe that's what I'll do today. I'm gonna go over to guitars. I'll just drive around town to every music store until I have one in there that I could fiddle around with.
Yeah. I haven't seen one. I see them on the internet. That's I saw the release video and all that.
Yeah, someone in one of the fans group, they posted a video of themselves fiddling around with it in the store. So they're in some stores.
They're there, and you can order them online too.
Right.
I saw them on my
right. I saw
feed.
I was gonna say I saw Junior Mac play after a Tedeschi Trucks Band Beacon show in this past late February, early March.
Oh yeah, he told me about it. Yeah.
Yeah, with Friends of the. Oh yeah, he's your buddy. With the Friends of the Brothers.
Yeah, I played with that group a few times. Yeah, I play in Junior's band. At Terra Blues and all these places. So we're
dude. I think that's where I saw you. I'm tripping now. Did you play at those gigs back in late Feb, early?
No, I played. The only time I played with Friends of the Brothers was at the Iridium, and what would happen is the Tedeschi Trucks was playing somewhere.
Yeah, that's where I was at that show.
And then the horns came in and set in at the end. But it was like early, was it February or March, something like that. I played at the Iridium. I set in on couple of songs with the Friends of the Brothers on that Saturday
Yeah,
night.
I was at both of those shows.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
That's hilarious. That's funny. I'm like, I kept thinking, did I see you in LA twice? Because I definitely saw you twice in a short period.
No, that was in New York. Yeah,
of time. Yeah, those were long days and nights, and a lot of music and whatnot. But
and drinking
fun for a little bit, yeah, and maybe other things too. But yeah, that's
okay.
That's so cool. So that yeah, we're doing it on both coasts. Where do we go from here? If you got other comments and thoughts on Tedeschi Trucks Band, music or stories related to them and inspirations, or continue on your journey, talk about what, your New York life and
yeah, we could do that. After I finished Berklee, which was great. Berklee was fun, especially interacting with the other students from different countries. And that's really, as much as I enjoyed working with the teachers, I really enjoyed working with and meeting people from different places and seeing their cultural, musical background both. I think that really makes you a better person and a better musician too. I feel like I've learned the most by that. Because it's such an international place, and I think that's beautiful, when you have people from all over that have different backgrounds, different experiences with music. It's just really cool. So that was awesome. And then when I finished Berklee, I actually was working for a little bit at Berklee because there was a class, there still is, that's called the Assistive Music Technology Lab, which is aimed towards blind students that want to learn how to record and write music independently. So we use Pro Tools, Logic, Sibelius, all these programs to actually write music and record music without necessarily needing someone's help. So I think that's really cool and really important. And after that, I worked there for a year, and then some of my friends from Berklee moved to New York, and I was like, I came out here a few times and played with them a few times, and I was like, man, these people have gotten so much better, such great musicians, and being in New York definitely transformed them. I saw the difference in a year, the difference a year made between them being at school with me and then coming to New York. So I decided to come here myself as well, because I was like, man, if these guys get so good in a year, like I really want to be here.
It's just that you can get more stage time in New York, and you're being exposed to different musicians, and without even thinking about it, people are kind of pushing each other, because you can get better just sitting in your living room in any town or playing in a band in a garage and listening to YouTube and what's out there. But being out there and working on your chops in front of an audience, is that what it is? Just more access to stage time and listening to new music that makes people better in the city?
Yeah, it's not just that. That's part of it. I think the other really important factor is that the people that you work with here have people that have actually, quote unquote, made it. I mean, some of them really have. Some of them, a lot of them have. And like, you'll find a person that's worked with blah, 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 right? And you learn that these are musicians just like me. And going up to someone and being like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm playing with the person that played like that. That stuff doesn't work. That's just, nobody wants that. Like you just want to have a normal interaction with another person that's playing music like you. And I feel like that's the biggest lesson that you learn by being here. I mean, I played with, the first name that comes to mind is, besides Oz Noé, who's wonderful, and he's played with, besides, he's got an amazing career of his own. Adam Levy, guitar player, he's played on all the Nora Jones and Tracy Chapman records. Drummers that I've worked with, that, this guy that plays with Roseanne Cash, Dan Reeser. There's just two, but I know so many people here, and it's just, you just realize that they're just people like me, and they've just been here a long time, and they've worked with a lot of great records and people, but it's cool when you get to, it's humbling when you get to play with somebody like that, and then they hear you and they want to make music with you as much as they want to make music with someone else. And I think that's really cool. So that gives you a different humility, I think, because you're not really trying to compete to whatever. You're just trying to meet people to connect with, and you're trying to make good music and become good people too, because you end up being supportive of each other in a way or another. And there's so many other people that I work with that, I could think of that have had careers that are way more amazing than mine at the moment. But it's really not about that. It's about the music that you can make together, and it's just that just makes it really cool, And I don't think that I could have had that in Boston. I mean, I did a little bit with the teachers, but those are your teachers. It's different. When you get out of school, then you're not a student, even though you're still a student because you're always learning something, but you're not like the class student that's like trying to, get something from the teacher. Like the teacher is going teacher mode. It's different, when you're working with someone that's like your peer and you're on the same gig, then things are different, you get a different approach. So I was definitely happy to move down here because when I was in Boston, I was playing a lot of gigs with local musicians too, and I enjoyed it. Really great players, but I feel like some people just, when you're in a smaller place, it's a little limiting on what you can do. There's not as much of a scene. There's not as many opportunities as when you come to New York.
No, I got you. And you, sir, are musician's musician. I would say, just like I totally appreciate and respect your approach and attitude. You have such a great attitude about everything, and speaking to the humility and I don't know, and all the teamwork aspects that are involved with playing with other people. Like I feel like your values just seem to be very synonymous or whatever, congruous, whatever the word is, with Tedeschi Trucks Band's approach. And Susan, I keep steering the conversation. I'm not trying to, but it just what you're saying reminds me of just like how TTB really values camaraderie and seems to like value the growing as a band and as people, and that being such an important part, having the right collaborators to make music together with, and everyone really just valuing the music above really the people and the music. Like it always is like priority. Did you always have such a good attitude? Were you ever like a bratty kid? Like who did you come out? Were you born this way? Like it's been a learning journey for
Well,
you?
I mean, I definitely have opinions, and I still do. So like if I'm not gonna sit here and be like, if something sounds bad to me, it sounds bad to me. Like I'm not here trying to be like, oh, it's all wonderful. Like, but the thing I've learned is, or that I want to always say, it's like, it's never personal. Like you can be the most amazing person, but I still don't like your music, and vice versa. You could be a terrible person and still like your music. Now, would I work with a terrible person? Probably not, because I need some sort of safety net protection. Like, I'm still blind and trying to navigate this whole thing. And it's like, if I find myself in a situation where I feel endangered or I feel like I'm disrespected, like I wouldn't work with that person. I don't care how good they are, of musicians. But the opposite is definitely true. Like I have, I've met plenty of people that I may not enjoy musically that I think are great people. So it's, but I guess that's the way I feel. And I guess I've always kind of been that way. But if I don't like somebody's music or something, like I definitely have feelings about, like I have opinions about it. So it's like, and I think that's probably what's made me a better musician too. It's like I want to try to figure out what's happening musically as a very open mind, but also I don't want to waste time listening to something that is not good, and that's, but I try to see it from different points of view too. Like it's like musical genres and everything, and a lot of people that went to school and studied a lot of jazz and are not necessarily into anything else. And I think that's limiting. And that's more of a personal choice that you make of liking or not liking a kind of music just because you feel like it. For me, it's more about is this music good? Is this music not good? Is it well written? Is it well played? Is there something particular about it? Is there feeling into it? Is there something creative in it? Those are my I guess my thoughts. What I think about when I think about music.
Are there ever? I was gonna ask is there ever times where you're or go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, that's it. What were we gonna say?
No, I was gonna say there are ever times where you are like play something or come up with something and you're not like super happy with it or don't think it's worthy of pursuing a creative idea, and then you play it for someone else and they're like, "Whoa, that's really good," and then you rethink your own opinion of your own playing.
I guess, yeah, but I'm very self-aware, so like I know when I make a mistake, and I can hear it, so I'm like, well, that was a mistake, and then whether I'm okay with it or not, that's a different story. It depends. If the feel is amazing, I'll take something that feels really good with a wrong note rather than something that's technically perfect but doesn't have that special thing. So, yeah. But generally speaking, I like if I make a big mistake musically, which we all do. I'll stop and be like, I gotta do this again. Like I know what I'm not okay with. No, that's me. I mean, it's like if something is straight up wrong, it's just wrong. There's no way to like, especially, and to me it happens a lot because not being able to see the fretboard. Like sometimes I'll do a jump and I take chances. So I'm like, okay, well that didn't work, so let's do it again. Or I know if I rushed or slowed down or something. Like I try to be very self-aware about that because I need to be that way anyway when I play live. So. I try to have an objective view about my playing.
Yeah, they say slide guitar is an instrument that I guess you play in a style with a lot of feel. It's got to be played with a lot of feel and precision.
I'm sure people look at the fretboard markers though.
Right, exactly. So I was gonna say, like, it's for you. It's like literally.
Yeah, and that's what makes it hard in a certain way. Like I've gotten pretty good at it, and I do this thing, where you go on top of the strings and go beyond the frets. You probably see me do that, but it's that's definitely, I have to always be mindful of that especially when I'm recording. When I'm playing live, it's different because you're playing live, you're going with the flow, and it's all about the energy. And if you make a little mistake, it's okay. But if you're in a recording studio, then I change my approach a little bit. I want to make sure that things sound good, and the intonation is decent. But that definitely makes it a little bit harder.
When did you start playing slide? Did you say?
I don't even remember. Probably 4 or 5 years from playing guitar. I just had one and I kind of messed around with it. I never really I mean, I would sit there and practice it sometimes, but it kind of grew with me along with everything else. It's just one of those things that I really incorporate into my playing.
Yeah, I messed around with it for a minute there and occasionally fiddle around with it. Never got too skilled with it. But what would you say are the biggest, especially early on, challenges? Is getting the clear sound, muting the other strings? For me, I almost felt like it was like my brain would want to play these Derek Trucksy licks and whatever, but my hand is not as fast as what my brain wants me to play. I don't know if that makes any sense, but what were the early challenges?
Well, I think, getting the clean sound, making sure that you are not always smacking on the side of the fretboard. Make sure that you don't put too much pressure on the strings. Yeah, muting the other strings, all that. It's all. And my technique on the slide is kind of interesting too. Like I use a lot my left hand and my right hand to mute the other strings. I use both, not just one. Because I kind of taught myself a little bit, so just figured it out as I went. But no, I definitely enjoy it. And but the thing is, when I play, I always try to think of something that I can actually reach and then improve from there. So like when I was 12 years old and starting up, I wasn't thinking, oh, I gotta sound like Django Reinhardt or something. Like I got there later, and I still don't sound like Django Reinhardt, but like I knew that was impossible for me at that point. So I'm like, well, what is reachable for me? What can I do? So I think that's a better approach. Like when you're starting up with something, you're not going to sound like Derek Trucks right away because he's worked on it a lot more longer than you have. So it's like, you get there if you keep going, but it's not just going to come,
Right.
It's like that with everything. You have to get a reachable goal first that you can actually do, so it's like maybe, even Dwayne Allman, I think it is, and this is all relatively speaking, I love his playing, but like Derek Trucks has brought it to a different sort of level compared to that.
Right.
Dwayne Allman is more bluesy, so maybe you can start with that, and then go and figure out. I know Derek Trucks plays in open E all the time, which I do a little bit, but not like that. But also, I'm not an exclusively slide player. Not that Derek is, but I would have a hard time playing everything else on that open tuning. That would be a nightmare. So I just play in standard most of the time. I can play in open E and open G, primarily open C too. But at some point when I got into 22, 23, I was like, man, I don't have time to change tuning every song. So I just figured out how to play most of that stuff in standard.
Most slide players who play heavy slide play in open tuning, have a dedicated guitar for slide.
Yeah, I don't have time for that. I love it. That's great. But like, I have to take the train to the gigs and I don't have any way to set up two guitars and I don't have any time to change tuning. So I'm like, yeah, but it's not practical. That's great if you have a car and you can have all yours set up and you got all the things, but I don't have all that most of the time. So, I maybe someday, but as far as it is for now, like I'm just like, I'll just play standard.
That's interesting how circumstances have led to musical choices. Do you meet a lot of other slide players who play in standard tuning as well?
Oh, definitely, yeah. There's this slide player here in New York who I love. His name is Chris Parker, and he basically makes the guitar sound like a lap steel. He's so good at that. You should check him out, man. He's what is it? Chris 246 Parker, I think is his Instagram. That guy's unbelievable. Like, I cannot do that. The stuff that he does with the slide, it's really he makes it sound like a lap steel, like, or pedal steel, like literally. He's the best at that. And then there's other people that I work with that play slide. Junior plays slide. Sounds good,
right?
But there is also some people on the internet. There's this guy, what is it, Ajant or whatever his name is, the gospel young guy that plays slide. Man, that guy is really unbelievable. He does all these vocal runs on slide, and it's all like this meditative music, and that's his spiel, and he's touring doing that. So it's like there is some people that are doing some amazing things with the slide. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I'm not sure. Maybe there's like a handful of really good slide players.
This guy is unbelievable. I think, is it AJANT or I have to look it up. I'm sorry. My phone speaks to me, so like I don't know how things.
it's all good.
So
yeah.
I don't want to seem like I am negligent or whatever. I I'll check everything, and I would need a second to go find him. But man, that guy is so. He's a social media sensation, but I never met him. I'm just saying that there is a lot of great slide players around, and he's one of them. I think he took the Derek Trucks thing and kind of brought it to a different dimension by doing the meditative, music thing and just relaxing. That's what he calls it, like music to relax your mind, and that's literally his whole spiel. And he's going on tour doing that. I'm like that's really cool, good feature,
right. Yeah, there's a handful of them out there, and the slide guitar, like I can hear the Derek Trucks who's influenced by Trucks, like almost immediately in a lot of these slide guitar players. But I respect the talent and appreciate it, and you could hear people still trying to and achieving
come up with new things.
Yeah, and their own voice within his voice. The Derek voice is almost like it becomes a part of like you hear it in there. It's that's art, I guess, is being inspired and then creating something that's your own, but also expresses that you were inspired. Like, I don't know, I'm rambling, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that who you're talking about because I think I follow them also. I'll dig it up. I'll dig it up later.
Yeah,
but
no, he's great. He's really, really good.
What other career highlights, New York highlights? You can tell me about your album. You can put out an album this year.
Yeah, well, I have 3 records with different groups. So in 2017, I released a acoustic duo record with my friend Cliff Schmidt, really great bass player, upright bass. We played acoustic all live to tape. The record is called Blues in the World Beyond, and that has some originals by me and by him, and it's blues and gypsy jazz mainly, with a couple of country-ish sounding songs, all acoustic guitar and acoustic upright bass. Then in 2022, I released a surf rock record with my surf rock band, the New York Grammys, and that was kind of a random project. Like I was playing with this drummer, Josh Davis, and we played, Miserlou, and then it was like, oh, we should start a surf rock band. So I learned a bunch of surf rock tunes, wrote a few, and we released a record.
I gotta check that out because I'm into that kind of. I love I'm a California guy also now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so you can check that one out at the New York Grammys, GREMMIES, and we have music on streaming services and everything, and vinyls. And then I released my own, just under my name, Noé Socha, and the record is called Simplebluesboy, and I recorded that in LA, actually. And there's a lot of great people on there. Tony Bronigal is playing drums and kind of producing it. He played on some of the Bonnie Raitt stuff, and he's done Taj Mahal, and he's done crazy music. And Sean Hurley's playing bass, and he plays with John Mayer. And I'll have a John Mayer story in a second. But John Cleary is sitting in on a track. Jay Bellarose, drummer, is sitting in on 2 or 3 songs, and he's on the road with Alison Krauss and Robert Plant now. David Levita is playing guitar, and Lenny Castro is on percussion. Paul Brown is on guitar too. He's more of a smooth jazz guy from LA. A lot of really great players. I'm definitely pleased with the way that record came out. Probably the best, in a certain way, work. The one I put the most effort in, I guess. But I don't know if you know any of these names. I mean, I'm sure you know John Cleary, right? The piano player.
Rings a bell.
He's out of New Orleans, English guy, but he's kind of, if you think of Professor Longhair and all these New Orleans players, he's kind of the next generation from these guys. He's been around for quite a while. He's been in New Orleans for a long time, but he's just wonderful player, and happy to have him on the record. So yeah, it's one that I'm definitely happy with, and has got a lot of my music.
No, that's super cool. The album is great. It's eclectic, and like I said, it keeps you on your toes, and it's a mood, it's a vibe, it's all those things for sure. And the talent is on display, and even being it's totally instrumental.
Yeah, it's all
it's totally instrumental, but you don't lose any melodic quality, and the album itself sings like I'm a fan for sure.
Cool, I'm glad you like it. Eric Finland is playing keys too, and Jim Pugh from the Little Village Foundation is also playing keys on a song. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of great players on there.
Yeah, no, I could tell you're a musician, just the way you give credit to everybody else. And
I want to do that, and it's like I was recorded on LA, and my friend JP is the one who kind of made it all happen. He's got his own studio out there, and him and Tony work together, but also he's got his own place now. It's called A Sonic World. So if anybody's listening from out there and they need stuff done, can definitely contact him. He's really great.
Was that I was gonna ask? Was the slide guitar player on the Instagram guy, or whatever, Aubrey Gent Jr.? Is that who?
I think so. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
his Instagram username is what? Is it like AG something?
AJGHENT.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
He's doing. If you listen to him, he's doing like all the little gospel.
Yeah, I have. I think I follow him from my Tedeschi Trucks account. But anyway, yeah. No, that's super cool that you've been on this journey and connecting with all these people and putting out great music. And I saw you again recently in LA playing with Kelly Baker. I'm sure that's been fun to play with the singer.
Yeah, we've been touring, and I'm actually really grateful for her because she's letting me. Besides taking me on the road, she's also letting me perform my music. And that's just, not many singers would do that. So I think that's really, really special. The fact that she's willing to let me like sell my stuff and do all this stuff, like it's not something that you find very often, at least in my experience. I played with a lot of different people, and that definitely is not something that happens that much.
No, that's super cool. You guys are a great team, and the set was, I think, well balanced, and you guys definitely complement each other and whatnot when you make music together.
Cool.
Very, very cool. Good stuff all around. Oh, you wanted to tell a John Mayer story.
Oh, the John Mayer story. And then, let me know if I have the guitar here, so I don't know if you want me to play something.
You could play something, maybe play something out or to wrap us up. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I definitely.
Well, John Mayer thing is, he reposted my version of Slow Dancing in the Burning Room on his TikTok. So that was, that was pretty cool, and that got me a lot of followers and definitely a lot of help in certain ways. It definitely made me social media famous for 15 minutes. You know how it goes. With that stuff, it's always weird, but it was cool. It was definitely nice to see him recognizing that. That was really cool. It was during the pandemic, so everybody was home. People were bored.
That's a great version you did, and that's on your album, right?
Yeah, and the bass player plays with him is on it, so that kind of full circle in a certain way.
Right, like it gives you more, not that you need it or it's even like a tangible thing, but like a certain like credibility, for lack of a better word, that must like feel good when you get that compliments from other musicians and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It just sounds good, feels good. I don't really go out like, I appreciate all the compliments and all that. That's cool, but like, it's not that I feel like I've made it or anything like that. Those are strange things, It's I'm always evolving and learning and figuring it out. So I really just want to figure out a way to become more successful so I can give back to the community too, and support other people that want to do the same journey, come from abroad or wherever their situation is, and they want to study and get into music or do something. Like, it's not easy to do. I'm still on a work visa, and you got to deal with all that stuff, paperwork and whatever. It's a lot. So, if I could give an example and make it easier for someone else that wants to pursue it in some way, that would be cool. So, that's really why I'm trying to figure out a way to get a little bit more recognition too, so I can provide better help for others too. It's tough, it's being, and I'm not saying that being blind is tough. I'm just saying that just dealing with all that, you have to figure out a way. And, sometimes you wish that there was a little bit more help. And I got a good amount, so I can't complain, but I know that people that had less than I did probably wouldn't even try. So that's, it's kind of sad.
No, yeah, no, I it is tough. I'm sure it's tough, and it's okay to say that it's tough, especially sometimes. I think you're playing the right genre of music to express your feelings about it.
I mean, I'm
you're saying you don't have the blues?
Yeah, I don't know.
We all do sometimes.
I think that's not really what it's about. It's we all struggle in certain ways. So I guess that's what I'm saying. It's like when people come up to me and like tell me all this weird shit about healing and whatever, the blindness. I'm like, go away, man. I'm fine. I don't want to deal with that. Like that's not the kind of message I want to send out. I'm sure that there's a lot of people that have a worse life than I do. And I'm not trying to sound arrogant with that. I'm just saying that I'm doing what I want, making a living, playing music. So it's like, I can't really complain, there's a lot of people who, for whatever reason, haven't been able to do what they want because it's not easy to do. So it's like, I can't really be that guy. That's I'm grateful.
Yeah, that's great, and it almost sounds like obviously dealing with the blindness can be sometimes a struggle logistically getting from point A to B and stuff like that. But like it sounds like
I wish I could drive. Believe me.
Right. But it almost sounds like the problems and issues and daily struggles that you're thinking about and dealing with in your life don't really have anything to do with being blind. It's more about everything that everyone else deals with.
Well, it's more than that. It's not really that. It's more everybody's got something, and however you see it for yourself, that's really what it is. Some people have an easier time dealing with certain things than others do, and it's all about how we're wired to deal with stuff. Some people, I don't know, get really anxious about something. Some people have difficulties time managing. I don't know. There's so many things that people struggle with, and it's all good.
Right.
Figure it out.
Cool. Well, where can people find and follow you? Anything you want to mention or share?
Yeah,
to do that.
So my website is noemusic.net, and Instagram is Simplebluesboy. I'm on TikTok, on Facebook too, and you can look for my name, Noesocha. That's that will direct you to whatever you are looking for. My music is on Spotify. The Simplebluesboy record, and then the New York Grammys, and the Liko duo, Likho duo. Those are my three main ones. I also played it on the first record by Vanessa Collier, the Heart, Soul, and Saxophone. I'm on that as well. That was from 2014, her debut record. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Good stuff. I was gonna say good stuff. Thank you. Appreciate the time and the stories. If you wanted to play us out, you play something. Do your thing.
NYC Boogie.
Oh, hell yeah. That was great. Super cool. I should have full screened you and minimized me. I'm realizing that now, but that's okay. Seeing all my goofy reactions and stuff. But man,
Yeah,
thank
people
you
will
so
love
much.
that. That's gonna the faces that will go viral.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of those videos, like where people those reaction videos, is what people are interested in
Yeah,
watching.
man. I mean, so there, it's good. Good, you kept yourself in there.
Good stuff. Thank you so much again for the time, for playing, for the stories. I'm sure I'll see you again on one of these coasts, if not LA, New York, wherever. But thank you again. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your day. You got a gig tonight, right? We're recording this on July 6th.
Yeah, I'm playing at Terra Blues with Junior Mac. Full circle.
Where are you playing?
At Terra Blues with Junior Mac.
Wow, is he based in New York too?
Yeah, he's in Jersey. Yeah.
Nice, very cool. That's I'll tell people to go to that gig.
Yeah, man. I mean, 10 to 3. It's gonna be a long one tonight.
Oh man, that's New York. They can't even do stuff like that in LA. Really?
No, well, you don't play live. Period in LA.
You don't play what live? Period.
Yeah, you don't play live. It's
you're here for the studios.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen the live gigs in LA. It's you don't have as much opportunities as New York for sure. There's a lot more studio work, which is great. I'm just saying, that kind of stuff doesn't really happen. But hey, that's okay. To each his own.
Gotcha. Well, have a great gig tonight. I'm sure it'll be fun, and we'll talk more soon.
Thanks, Ed.
You got it. Peace. So there you go. Episode 161 with Noé Socha. That was super fun. I really appreciate his time, and I look forward to seeing him again on stage soon, whether it's in New York, LA, or somewhere else. Anyway, I hope everyone is doing okay out there. Please check out @Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. Please subscribe to this show on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. Positive reviews on Apple Podcasts are definitely appreciated too. Subscribe on YouTube. I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter. AdamChoit.com for all my personal stuff. TedeschiTrucksPodcast.com for everything related to the show. TedeschiTrucksBand.com for everything related to the band. Buy merch, buy tickets to shows. Join the Swamp Family fan club, download the app, all that. They have an upcoming show streaming on Nugs. The Red Rock show's coming up later in the month. I'm excited for those. I'm not going, but I'll be watching on the live stream, of course, and recapping those, most likely with fans who were there. But thank you again, Noé. Thank you, TTB, the crew, fans, podcast supporters, guests. Everyone is definitely appreciated. But I think that's about all I got for today. Thank you again for listening, and peace.